Hello everyone, my name is Anushka Patil and today I'm going to present about kefir fermentation, its health benefits and the industrial production. So let's look at what is kefir fermentation. Kefir is basically a fermented milk drink and it is made using kefir grains. These are actually living cultures of bacteria and yeast, and it originally comes from the Caucasus Mountain where people used to traditionally make it at home. They basically used to add these kefir grains to fresh milk and let it sit for about 18 to 24 hours. So basically, they used to let it ferment, and this is actually a great topic in fermentation biotechnology because it shows us the complete picture, the microbes involved, the health effects on us, and the engineering side of producing it at scale. Because nowadays it's widely used both as a household as well as like a commercial product. So kefir grains. What are kefir grains? They're also called as SCOBY. So SCOBY is symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast because the bacteria and yeast they live together in this grain and they're held together by a natural substance called as kefirin, and they also depend on each other to survive and ferment properly. Also, the composition of this is mainly bacteria. Around 65 to 80% is bacteria, and the rest is yeast. And there are main bacterias are like lactobacillus or lactobacillus, and the yeasts include Saccharomyces cerevisiae or Clubberomyces, and they are like the same broad yeast family, which are also used in the beer and the bread industry. Now, if we look at the process, process of kefir fermentation is basically that you add these kefir grains to milk, and the milk already contains lactose, which is a natural sugar in the milk, right? So this lactose acts as a carbon source for the bacteria and yeast. So bacteria and yeast they start feeding on the lactose, and the bacteria it converts the lactose to lactic acid, and yeast produces small amounts of carbon dioxide and alcohol. This is why kefir is like little, it has like this little fizz. So this whole process takes about 18 to 24 hours at room temperature. Also in the end what we get is we get the milk which is thick, like it is thickened, and it also has like a pleasantly tangy taste to it. Now, if we look at the health benefits, it has a lot of health benefits. Starting with probiotic load, kefir actually contains a wide variety of live bacteria. It is also more than yogurt, so drinking it adds a lot of diversity to our gut microbiome. So, probiotic is basically a good bacteria, and kefir contains a lot of good bacteria. So, eventually, our gut health also improves. Next, lactose digestion. So during fermentation, the lactose produces an enzyme called as lactase. What this lactase does it already like beforehand only it breaks down the lactose which is present in the milk. So people who are not able to digest lactose, who are lactose intolerant, this kefir is like way easier on their stomach more than the regular milk. So it is like an alternative for regular milk. Then there's microbiota modulation. So drinking kefir regularly helps increase the good and the beneficial bacteria in our gut, and the overall whole balance it shifts to a healthier direction. Also, I read this research paper where there was clinical evidence behind this. So basically, they did a 12-week study with about 50 participants, and they found out that drinking kefir regularly it led to a real and measurable improvement in the gut-related symptoms. So also they had like fewer digestive complaints regarding gas or acidity. It was like way less compared to what it was before. Then if we look at more health benefits, there are more health benefits. So studies have also showed that anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even anti-diabetic effects with regular kefir fermentation. On Actually, these are like still active areas of research, and they are not guaranteed outcomes for everyone because it differs person to person. Also, there's a compound called kefirin, which is produced during fermentation. It has also been associated with antimicrobial and antioxidant properties in various studies. And when the bacteria and yeast they break down, what happens is the bacteria and yeast break down milk proteins during fermentation, and they release these small peptides. And these peptides have also like shown activities against harmful bacteria, so they're protecting us against harmful bacteria. Also, just to be responsible about this, they are not they are like basically reported findings from research, and they can vary depending on dose, duration, and person to person. So kefir is a wonderful addition to the diet, but it isn't a replacement for medical treatment. Now, if we look at the industrial production, so what happens in industrial production is that we do not use traditional kefir grains that we just talked about, because traditional kefir grains don't work well at large scales. They are very delicate and they're hard to preserve consistently, and they don't lend themselves to continuous high volume production. So the industry uses a defined starter culture instead. So what is this? It's basically a lab made mix of bacteria and yeast with a known and a fixed composition. It is not random, it is fixed. Also, we gradually scale this up. Like we started with a 100 liters tank, then we move up to 3000 liters, and eventually full scale it to 30,000 liter tanks. So it happens gradually. Then there are like a few machines which are involved in this, like a pasteurizer to heat treat the milk and remove unwanted microbes. Then there's a homogenizer which evenly distributes the fat for a smooth texture, and the bulk starter tanks are there to grow the culture before adding it to the main batch. And there are also fermentation tanks or bioreactor which controls like carefully controls temperature and mixing during fermentation. All these equipments are needed for our industrial production. Now we look at the process of industrial production. So it starts with raw milk, and we standardize this and pasteurize it at around 85 to 95 degrees Celsius. Then we leave it for cooling to about 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, and the starter culture is added. So starter culture was basically a mixture of yeast and bacteria, fixed composition. It's fixed composition. So then later on, this fermentation takes about 12 to 18 hours. It is quicker than the traditional home method, because industrial cultures, they're optimized for faster fermentation. So this happens, and then after that it's cooled. It's allowed to mature slightly, and then it's packaged. Also, throughout this process, a few things are constantly monitored. So the pH is monitored to track the acidity, and even the acidity level itself is monitored. Then the temperature, and even like the temperature to keep the culture. This everything is done to keep the culture active, and also like live cell count is done, and to basically like make sure the batch is healthy and consistent. All these parameters are necessary to be checked throughout the whole process. Then there are a lot of challenges that are faced, and there's a lot of quality control needed and trends. So let's look at that. So later on, traditional grains, as we saw, they are very hard to preserve and they do not scale well. So this is one of the problem, and contamination is another concern. So factories rely on strict sterile clean in place system to keep everything hygienic. And even also again, like even after packaging, kefir keeps fermenting a little even in the fridge, which also makes it a little sour over time and affects how long it stays fresh for. So these all are the problems. So then, but eventually there's a growing market for dairy free kefir nowadays, because it is also made using oat and coconut milk. So for vegan and lactose intolerant consumers, this is a great alternative. And kefir cultures, they're also now being used beyond just drinks. For example, to help speed up ripening of hard cheese is one of the example. And with better controlled fermentation setups, producers can now boost the output of kefir, which is a beneficial compound. So they can boost this output by 50%, more than 50%. As you can see, there's a graph that I've put that it's a growing industry and it will grow a lot in the future as well. So for reference, I refer to some of the books and also read a few research papers about this. Thank you everyone. This brings me to the end of my presentation of kefir fermentation. Thank you so much for listening.